And now we will end our session with an interesting speech from Shawn Winter about ethics, and we'll pass the word to Shawn.
Do I go up there?
Yes, if you want.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. The future looks good for everyone. The world is not going to hell in a handbasket. We're going to be okay. We'll get through this crisis. We've weathered storms before in the past, and the economic crisis will find its ebb, as they all do. All right? Today I'm going to be talking about two subjects. One that happened to me personally, and one just happened within the last month, which was just spoken about earlier today. And it's called ethics. And we all have our own view of ethics, of right and wrong, but I'm going to talk about what would you do if you're in a situation between right and wrong. The first event I'm going to talk about, it happened to me while I was on an assignment in India. And I was working for a major energy corporation over in India. And I was supposed to be there for a good rotation, which is 30 days rotation in and out. And I had this conversation with the project manager. And basically it was that he gave me a report that was done in September 2014 outlining all the deficiencies and safety violations that occurred at this location. And I was given it to this on August 1st. And after reading this very thick documentation and highlighting it with yellow and red magic marker, I asked, what do you want to do with this? We have a lot of safety violations out there. And I'm working on with the energy corporation, so I not need to tell you how volatile problems can occur out there in the offshore industry. Basically, he told me to forget that I ever read it. And that was senior management. And I said, well, I'm not going out there because it's not safe. And then he said, we're not going to send anyone out there. And I said, well, you already have one of our people out there. He did not reply. Now the question is, what did I do? Or the question is to the audience, what would you do? Now we're having a geographical and weather lesson. This is a satellite photograph of a hurricane from the International Space Station. Florida's to the left, Bahamas, Cuba. To the far right, you see Puerto Rico. Can give you a better picture of it. You see that one yellow line going from Florida, heading into the hurricane. And up on the coast of northeast of the United States, there's another massive storm brewing. So you have two storms brewing. Now, you're a ship owner, you're a master, you have this information. This subject was talked about briefly earlier today about this ship, the Alfaro, a crew of 33 personnel on board, 28 Americans, 5 Polish individuals. Here's the timeline of this event. Now, I'm getting all this off the website of the news. On the 26th and 27th, a massive storm was brewing over the northeast United States and Carolinas, massive flooding. Then a tropical depression was forming in the southern Atlantic. The 29th, the ship departs. The tropical depression had 40-mile-an-hour winds. The 29th, forecasters are upgrading it. On the 30th, it's been upgraded to a hurricane category 1. On the 30th, it's also the captain sending messages that, yeah, we understand the storm, we did precautions, et cetera, et cetera. Within 36 hours, that's upgraded to a category 4 storm. 145 miles an hour winds, sea state 50 feet waves or greater. October 1st, lost communications, lost engines, and it sunk. Now, I gave you these slides earlier showing you the weather. You have this information beforehand. All right? This was a message sent by one of the crew members, second mate. Basically, she said to her mother, we're heading right into a hurricane. And she's a graduate from the Maritime Academy up in Maine. The response from the companies was this. The CEO is a retired U.S. Navy admiral. He indicated that the captain had planned out this event and had room to spare, whatever that means. The sister ship came through that transit a couple days earlier. As we know from yesterday's weather, things change in the 12 to 14-hour period, don't they, here in Naples? Another statement. 5 workers who came over were from Poland, and they were over there to do work on the engine. Now, the CEO of the company is stating that their presence or the loss of engine power was not a factor in this mystery. Well, I don't know how many of you guys are boaters or own a boat, but if you lose engine power out in the middle of the water and waves, you're helpless. Now, secondly, why would you have 5 individuals coming over and doing work on an engine when you know there's a storm brewing out there and you're going to be sailing into it? Responsibility. The captain, the ship owner, the CEO, whose is it? Management saying they have the veto power. Did they use that veto power? Did they talk about this with the master? Little facts on the ship. It was built in '75. I've heard countless speeches about ages of vessels, the life expectancy of a vessel, maintenance of a vessel, or lack of it. And when it was modernized twice, last time 2006, the ship itself was lengthened 90 feet. American Bureau of Shipping completed an inspection of the hull and mechanics, no problems. Coast Guard inspection was done in March of this year. National Transportation Safety Board, I've worked with them, I've taken classes with them. They will be investigating this accident. Well, the data recorder is 3 miles below the surface of the water now, so you're not going to be able to retrieve that. But what they're going to go to is at the company. They're going to talk to individuals at the company. Glass who sailed her, who've been on her before, looking over the blueprints, the diagrams, emails, communications. Business culture. Are they pressuring the deliveries when they shouldn't be? What is the culture of this company? These are statements I've gotten from the news media. 1975, that's a long time ago for this type of vessel. Ship's going to have, of that age is going to have problems. Then another statement contradicts that. The ship's age should not be a concern. Granted, if maintenance and preventiveness is done correctly. Is it a poor decision by the captain and management to send that vessel to sea? Often pressuring captains to stay on schedule? I could tell you that when I was working for Military Sea Lift Command as Anti-Terrorism Force Protection Director of Military Sea Lift Command Europe, Africa, and Middle East, and we're using commercial vessels, that statement was said a lot by a lot of people, and I went toe-to-toe to people saying, you're stepping out of line by forcing things way beyond their capacity. Now we're talking about the ethics of this. What is it going to do with teamwork of a place like that? Business. Protecting assets. Well, you just lost a vessel. Decision-making, what doesn't make you feel comfortable if your management's making you go in harm's way or not. Public perception, the image. I spoke about that last year when I talked about my experience on an offshore rig that capsized and sunk, and how the CEO of Chevron was making statements admitting of a lot of errors was done in the industry since that accident and before. Business. Who's going to put their cargo on that vessel? We was just told earlier that lawsuits and insurance claims are being filed against this. I guarantee you that's, she just mentioned one, there's going to be 32 other claims too. At the end of the day, you're standing there by yourself in a room, alone with other people, and you disagree with what's going to happen or decisions being made. The question is, do you stand up and say something, or do you say nothing? What is right and wrong? I've been in that situation before. It's a very lonely, uncomfortable position, but I'm capable and I've done these decisions and I can make them. Industry is full of accidents. We are human. That's why accidents like this happen. It's not because the ship sunk. Ship sunk, why? Because someone made a decision. It's a human factor, but there's always a human factor in every decision we make in businesses. This is where it comes to the end of the day. Where are you going to make this decision, yes or no? And I was reading a book over the summer, and I found this fine quotation. He was a gentleman who was in the British Parliament, Andrew Duffy Cooper. And he voted on an event in 1938, and I'll read it to you. By voting against this, I've ruined perhaps my political career. But this is of little matter. I've retained something which is of great value. I can still walk and hold about the world and hold my head erect. And what he was voting on was naval chamberlains coming back with a piece of paper saying, "Peace in my time." He was against it. 2 years later, he's working in Winston Churchill's government. So if more people have the courage to say something, less events will happen. So that's the thing I can give to the youth today. Stand up. It's a lonely decision to make, but you're a better person to standing up for your own ethics, your integrity, your morals, your values, because that is what you will be a good manager and a good CEO of. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shawn.